I speak immediately to is, have any of you seen on the news where it says the Holy Father's been accused of heresy?
Yes.
Okay, so having seen that, what was your first reaction to that? Anybody? Never again. All speak loud.
I have not seen that item. However, the way the news carries things and its attitude toward religion and morals in general, I would think that it would be a false story.
Okay.
Because the news is basically anti-religion.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? First reaction? Yes, ma'am.
I think this speaks to one of the things that was in the bulletin with Vatican II. I think there is a group within the Catholic Church that are very unhappy with the way that things have evolved. We as a people are more educated. Just look at the bunch that's sitting here right now on a Monday morning. And I think that Vatican II spoke to the educated Catholic. I think there are a lot of people who would like to go back to maybe Vatican I, like that, and where this is it. This is what you believe, it's lockstep, no choice, and I think there are some people on that side, and that's where that dichotomy comes in. I think those people have trouble with the gray area,
Okay.
and I think Pope Francis is all about expanding consciousness.
Okay, all right, so let's take two comments here, which are both, first of all, perhaps the reaction of the news that has a tendency to be anti-religious and so looks for things that they can pick on. But secondly, and what struck me at the end of this was perhaps a desire on the part of some to go back or to find a time when everything was absolutely black and white, and because we don't like dealing with any gray, okay? Anybody else? Anybody else comment? Yes.
From what I read, there's a group of clergy that were objecting to what the Pope has written about divorce and remarried Catholics receiving.
Okay, all right, okay, all right. So, thank you. And that is what it ties into. So the issue is, and I'm only bringing this up because it's something that's very relevant and in the news. Yes, remember the Holy Father came out with his letter, and he was talking about moral situations, pastoral situations in the church. And if you read that, if you read particularly as he's speaking about marriage and family life, was an encyclical on family life, etc., the bottom line is this, and if we summed it all up, is that the Holy Father is not changing any of the doctrine of the church. And the Holy Father is not refuting necessarily the Catholic Church's stance on divorce, remarriage, etc. What the Holy Father was asking for was a pastoral approach to persons and recognizing the teaching of the church, but also recognizing at times the condition of people in their lives and how the church pastorally reaches out to them. And that can be a very difficult thing, how you say, well, we're going to be pastoral, but at the same time, sorry, but the teaching isn't going to change. This is the teaching, okay? And maybe it's that reaction of what the Holy Father has seen in his own experience, where too often he's seen where priests basically say, this is the way it is, period, get out of my sight, go away. That's it, no more further talk. And where there was no pastoral thing on that. You know, I think there was a real misunderstanding from some of the things that came out reference marriage cases, okay? If you remember, in terms of that, I had numerous people, now this is why I've been in the Army, come, and their perception was no longer was there going to be any kind of a charge when it came to working with annulments. That was all now going to be free. Secondly, it was going to happen very quickly. In their own minds, from what they perceived and picked up with that, is maybe to work on a case is going to take a month, and then it's all going to be done and everything's going to be fine. And that was really a misperception of what was being said. The bottom line was speaking to the reality that there were many places where cases were either not being followed through with or taking years and years to get for any kind of anything with that, and that was wrong, and that things needed to be changed in reference to that. I can remember years ago here in the Archdiocese of Atlanta when when Archbishop Gregory became Archbishop, it was maybe a year after he became Archbishop, that he really discovered the kinds of problems we had in the marriage tribunal, where things weren't being responded to and things were taking forever. And so what he did is he called in people from other places in the United States to come in and clean the tribunal up, to, in a sense, make things more efficient and to bring things where cases and stuff could move along. Again, theology wasn't changed, but it was how we did what we did, particularly in a pastoral way. And so there are some theologians and priests in the church who particularly, and if you read the articles and read what it said, particularly from some groups that are not necessarily in union with Rome and do not recognize Mass as we celebrate it now as valid. They do not accept the teaching of the Vatican Council. They don't accept that. They believe the Holy Spirit wasn't there, and it is true. They want to go back to what was. It was their reaction to some of the things that the Holy Father said. Again, Pope Francis, everybody, there are many people who think that Pope Francis is this wild, off-the-wall kind of guy. He's not at all. Pope Francis is very much in union with the church. It's just he comes from a South American experience, Jesuit. He comes from that experience, and he's just asking that we be mindful of the pastoral nature of the church and how we present ourselves in terms of that. And in many ways, that's nothing new. Again, I don't know about you. I don't have this horrible memory of the church pre-Vatican II. I don't have it. I've shared with you at Mass that I didn't particularly like priests. But it wasn't because I had some horrible thing happen to me by priests. I just didn't relate with them. Actually, I look back and, except for Sister St. John in the second grade, who was a little rough. I had this sister in the second grade. I can remember Mom, St. Anthony's School in West End. It's now closed, okay? And Mom driving me to school and me crying all the way. And I can still see us in the schoolyard. I can see her looking at me. Fred, get out of the car. But sister, Fred, get out of the car. But Fred, I'm going to tell you right now, life ain't always easy. When you get older, you're going to discover there's going to be people you're not going to like that you're going to have to deal with. Get out of the car and go into class. Best thing, rather than, oh, my poor little, best thing that ever happened to me. But if she walked into my second grade class and sister had her sleeves up and her coif was on a little crooked, you knew it was going to be a bad day. A lot of bad days. But you know, I don't have this horrible memory of the pre-Vatican II church. And in fact, I think even then, we have a picture that back then it was all black and white, there was no gray, and every priest, you know, was all black. And that's not, there was also very pastoral times there. We just didn't necessarily see them in the same way we may now. But we, you know, there's things we still struggle with.